Hello. We are live. It's good to be here again. I'm doing these monthly YouTube and Facebook streams. Feel free to ask questions in the comment section. I love being able to answer questions and be as helpful as possible. So please let me know what is on your mind. The overall topic that I figured I'd talk about today is something that's not really talked about much. It's about how does the parent change as the child changes? So, what are the transformations that happen? What does it look like? And I'll give a little bit of my perspective, but I'm only one person, right? And I've worked with so many parents and this whole process. I've worked with parents in 21 different countries right now. So, what does it look like at different stages? And sometimes I've worked with parents from start to finish. Other times there's just like a rough patch that they need to get through, and they have very specific questions. And the whole idea is, what does it look like for the parent? And that's something that's really important to recognize, because a lot of times we always think of the end goal, right? And how do we get to that end point? And if we're always focusing on that end point, then we have a tendency to feel inadequate, like, oh, we're not there yet, right? And there can be such a habit of getting frustrated with yourself and not appreciating how far you've gone, and it's not helpful, right? So when you're trying to accomplish something as complex and as difficult and as important, right, as regaining your child's health, and then they can have that opportunity to be themselves fully who they are, right? So that's an extremely important goal, and I understand the pressure. Trust me, I certainly understand putting pressure on oneself. Um, but how does the parent change as the child starts to thrive? So that's the overall topic I'll talk about today. If you do have any questions, certainly put them in the comment section. I'd love to address them. I'll keep an eye on the comments, and I do have two things to show you, uh, kind of as a culmination as to what really happens to a parent. Okay, so when I think about this topic, one of the first things that come to mind is a mom and dad that I worked with, and they had a boy who had autism and an older daughter, and it was a very stressful time, right? So you couldn't leave the child alone for a minute, right? Where it was playing with water and just lots of goodness, lots of everything, right? It really wasn't safe to leave the child alone for more than a minute or so. So it's that constant diligence. I'm sure many of you, not necessarily everyone, but many of you have an understanding of that situation where you've got to keep your eye on your kid every second, because maybe they'll run off, or maybe they'll do something in the kitchen, or they need that constant supervision. And so we addressed certain health issues, started working on things, and the son really started to unwind and start to become a lot more calmer. So the diligence, it didn't have to be there. And so it was a weekend morning. I don't remember whether it was Saturday or Sunday, but it was a weekend morning. And the parents were able to sit down on the patio and have a cup of coffee together. And the son and the daughter just kind of played off in the yard. There was no stress as to, oh my gosh, I have to keep an eye. What if he jumps off the jungle gym, or what if he really had started to unwind that fight or flight, and we got to address certain health issues. And that's one of the first steps. That's what it looks like. Having that moment of, I can do something for myself. I can take a little bit of a breather. I can um, enjoy just observing. And many times as parents, um, that's what parents do, right? They watch their child explore and develop and grow. And many times with autism, a parent really has to be present at all times. And you don't get that space, that breathing room, that perspective of not having to do everything for your child. And so that is in many ways the way it starts, with just a few small moments of being able to go back and do something for yourself. And it sometimes, parents have been just, they've just been at it for so long that they even forget, what is it that I really enjoy? What is it that I want to do when my child doesn't need me, right? And so it can be such a foreign idea that when it happens, what I've seen a lot of times when it happens is there's almost a resistance to that space. There's almost a resistance to, um, hey Meryl, good to see you. um, there's almost a resistance to that space that is starting to grow in between the parent and the child. And that is something really important to acknowledge, because we want our children to be independent, and that's that goal. But so many times with autism, it becomes so foreign, it becomes so unattainable that when it starts to happen, it can easily get missed, right? And in that situation, the parents could have shifted and could have said, all right, hey, you watch, I'm going to go do some more research on XYZ, that kind of thing. And you could constantly stay in that mode where you're looking for problems and really just never shifting out of that stress mode. And it takes awareness, it takes mindfulness, it's scary. Many times parents tell me, they're like, I didn't know what to do with myself. And it's true. It is definitely true, because things start to change, and quiet doesn't necessarily mean that something's wrong, right? For many parents, if the child's quiet, uh-oh, what are they doing? Like, something's wrong. And that's really not the case with many kids as they start to get healthier and really get more curious about life, curious of academics, school, making friends. And so today was really all to talk about that aspect of autism, because it's super important. If you don't ever take that mindset shift and say, all right, we're making progress. We're not at the end point, but we're starting to make progress. And I can start to focus on myself just a little bit. And it really helps the parent unwind from all the stress. A lot of times, parents afterwards, they actually experience some PTSD where, if they hear a noise, it can really jar their nervous system. And so, right, if you continue in that vein, the parent's health really suffers. And so you can only really go so many years at that kind of level of stress, or your body starts to say, listen, I just can't take it anymore. So when you have these opportunities of, all right, we're doing pretty good, we're making some progress, there is some time for me to step back and not be in that overly diligent mode. It's really important for parents to take that, because that's how it grows. It starts with that, and then it grows into, now, the older daughter is having play dates, and now, like, because before she was really hesitant to have anyone over to the house. Um, so now it's, play dates are possible, and now the younger son wants to play and say, what are they doing? I want to hang out with my sister, right? So things really change, and it starts with giving yourself that space and acknowledging, wow, this is something different. Okay, they're changing. I have to change, because if you just stay and perseverate on problems and never shift, you can always find problems. Always, right? I've seen parents where their child is getting better, and then they just switch that focus, that intensity, just to something else, a different topic, maybe a different child, right? Um, you can always find something to stress and to worry about, but the whole idea is to really see this as autism, right? AWE. So as your child starts to get better and starts to grow and prosper and see opportunities in life and take opportunities in life, be parts of sports teams and after school activities and all of those things, it's really important for the parent to grow as well. Because if a parent just takes their stress and worry and shift it to a different topic, it's not making the progress that is really possible and it's really there. So it's something to really acknowledge and get excited about. Oh, this was one of my favorite things when parents would be like, you know what happened? I'm like, tell me, tell me. Guess what we got to do? What? So great when this kind of shift starts happening, because it just snowballs, and it really, I know it sounds so simple, but it really takes time to acknowledge and say, wow, things are changing, right? Because it's easy to get then scared and to be like, wait a second, I don't want to celebrate too early. I don't want to think things are changing and things are better when maybe we'll have a regression and maybe something will happen and I'll have celebrated too soon. And there's all of that stress and worry. So a lot of times, I don't know if anyone's been in that situation, where your child has some progress, but then you're almost like scared to celebrate it. It's natural. So it just shows how diligent and dedicated you are. And it comes from a really loving place. So that's why sometimes it's difficult to shift and to be like, my child doesn't really need me as much, right? It's such a different role to become more and more of a parent, because eventually, right, the whole goal is that the child doesn't need the parent anymore. So when you've been in that really intense parenting / caregiving role, you can lose a sense of your identity that you took on in order to get through the stressful situation. And so it's, I know it seems like, oh, this shouldn't be hard, but it is. It really is. And it's really important to acknowledge it. So I don't know if anybody's had that experience. If you have, either on the live stream or anyone watching this in the recording, this would be something that I would love as a community to talk about more and more, because it starts so small. It starts with just a few minutes. It might start with, your child putting on their coat themselves, right? And you might be standing there like, wait, what am I supposed to do, right? You're so used to helping and jumping in and doing that. So that's that moment where you have to acknowledge, wow, they don't need me as much. okay, this is actually what I wanted. But you can start to feel like you might be tense about it and be like, wow, this is uncomfortable. It's new, it's different. You're in the unknown. So that's why you want to know that moments like that are coming. And when I do work with parents, I preface that. I tell them, listen, there's going to come a point where it's going to feel uncomfortable because you don't have to be as diligent as you are now. So just be aware of that and celebrate it when it comes. It's going to start small, right? And the temptation is to be like, well, we're not at the finish line, right? But you collect these small moments, and that's how you gain momentum and get bigger and bigger and have more of that space where the child is growing more and more independent as much as possible. So I will share, um, let's see, as the space has become bigger and bigger, there are things that I can do. So a little insight is I remember starting to take walks. I used to only take maybe like a 5-minute walk because I had to dedicate everything. I had to read all these different research articles and call different people and be on top of everything. And it felt like if I didn't put every single moment into it, that I was wasting it. But so it started with like little walks. All right, little walks. And then the walks got a little bit longer. And then I could start appreciating nature. And then, it became like, what? It would be nice to take a hike. And I had never really done that before. So this was like me getting out of my comfort zone. Like, oh, okay, let me start to see. Is hiking something I like to do? So it really became more of an exploration of myself and how I wanted to live like the rest of my life. What was the kind of person that I wanted to be with the kind of hobbies after going through such an intense and stressful situation where I was needed like every moment. So it starts with that and more meditating, and meditating had started when things were stressful, but then meditation became more fun and more tapping into like that flow and what else can I do and how can I be creative and just really enjoying all that. So I did start painting. Now I'm a scientist. Like that's the way I think. And I'm not into like, I don't know, pretty colors and making things look beautiful. That is something I really struggle with. I have a growth mindset now after all this autism. I definitely have a growth mindset. So I have an appreciation for that. Okay, I'm not a good artist, but I can improve at it, right? So it's not something that's set in stone. And I really learned that through the whole autism journey. So there were times where I wasn't needed. And so I'll show, I started painting. Now I've never taken a class. And that's just for fun. And so this was, I paint maybe 1 or 2 paintings a year. And so this is one of the paintings that I did. And so if you get real close up, then you could see like I need to blend much better. It's like my makeup. I'm not very good at blending. I've learned blending is important. Blend, blend, blend. But the whole idea with this painting was it was when I was on a walk, and that feeling, here, let me try and get it. That feeling when you're walking in snow and you're blinded by that bright light? That was the emotion that I was going for. And that is what I worked on in this painting of, I want to feel good more and more. I just want to enjoy life. So what could I do that when I looked at it, I don't know, made me smile. It somehow moved my emotions. right? And so that was what that painting was. I remember taking hikes with my daughter and being so blinded by the sun on the snow, and it's just a cool feeling. So even in summer, when I look at that, I feel colder, and I can just, I don't know, it just helps. It helps with appreciating life, with just enjoying that space that has been created. So as your child thrives, you'll have more and more of this space. So you can really ask yourself, what is it that I want to do? And for me, I love challenges. Painting, oh my gosh, it's I have to like meditate and like get into the flow, and just really um I don't know, just really be in that void, be in that like unknown, um, be in that flow. And that's what you have the opportunity to do, right? So I just wanted to take this live stream to really talk about that and show different examples. There's, the parents that I've worked with, they've all done different things with their time, and there's no right or wrong, and it's just how can you tap into who you are now that you've become such a strong person. So a lot of times parents, they really learn how to advocate very well for their parent and for their child, and maybe they haven't been someone who spoke up before. I know for me, I was not used to having to advocate in so many different areas, right? And it was difficult at time, right? But so now I have a pretty unique skill, and how do I want to use that? So in many ways, that's how this channel came about, and just it's another area that I can grow into and challenge myself and have fun and help parents and teach them all the things that I've learned from working with parents all over the world. And I just wanted this live stream to be helpful to you, so that as your child starts to make progress, it's not just all about like them getting better, right? That's We want them to be healthy, we want them to be happy, we want them to be able to engage in whatever passions it is in their life, so that they can really fulfill their opportunities, fulfill who they are. But then where does that leave you? And that's the question to really think about. Because if you don't change as your child changes, how far will you really be able to go? You won't be able to go as far as you want if you are stuck in the past and your child is moving into the future, right? One of the things that a lot of times I hear is, let's say, I don't know, let's say the family wants to go for a water park adventure. And, one of the parents says, oh, no, we can't do that. Jimmy just hates doing that kind of stuff. And it's not really true anymore, because the child is changing. So if the parent is stuck in the past while the child is moving forward, the parent will be the one who ends up holding the child back. So this is why this topic is so important. And if I haven't helped so many parents, I wouldn't understand the importance of this shift in the parent, because it's so easy for us to remember all the past bad experiences, and for us to think that, like, oh, my child would never want to do that. They just don't do that. They can't do that. Anything along those lines. As your child's getting healthier, they're going to want to do different stuff. So you don't want to keep yourself in the past as your child grows. And so this is why that perspective and that change is super important. And the healthier and happier they get, the more space you have. So it's really important to start thinking about this in the beginning and recognizing those opportunities when it happens. And so when you're not needed anymore, it's really an opportunity to celebrate and say, all right, excellent, like we're going in the right direction now. Yes, we're not done, right? You don't want to tell yourself, oh, okay, yes, we had one good day, and I don't know, be unrealistic, but you want to say, all right, we're turning this. This is complex what we're trying to do. Things aren't going to change overnight. They're not going to change in 1 week, right? It's you want to have that expectation, and then you really want to have that enjoyment when they start enjoying things. And it's a great opportunity for you to learn more about yourself and how you want to create the rest of your life as well. So I hope that has given a little insight into an extremely important aspect of autism. It's absolutely critical, right? Because if your child's changing and you're not, you're going to end up holding them back. And I don't think anybody watching this wants to hold their child back. That's not why we're here, and that's not what we're about. So with that, I think I'll leave it there. I hope you can share about those moments where you've started to change, you've started to unwind, you've started to have that separation of child and parent, so that your child can really start to grow and be more independent. And it's really beautiful to be a part of that. It's really important for your child to feel that you're confident in them and that you're always that safe space that they can come back to. But with parenting, and especially with autism, it's about giving them the roots, right? And with autism, right, sometimes we are given really deep roots, right? We're spending so much time in that. But then it's time for them to have wings. So as you resolve different health issues, it's really important to see them fly and to know that it's not going to go perfectly, but if they always feel that you love them no matter what, and you're there for them, and that you appreciate their even trying and attempting different things, that if it doesn't go well, it's okay. Brush yourself off and you try again. So that growth mindset is super important for the parent to have, and your child will learn it from you. So thank you very much for being here. I really hope you get to experience this part of autism, and it's absolutely beautiful. And feel free to share your thoughts and ideas in the comment section below. Thank you very much, and see you next time. Bye.